Building your credit record. What the hell is a credit record? How do I get one? And also, can I use my gym membership that I haven't been to ever since I opened it as a credit record thing? I just want to know, like, tell me more.
So firstly, let's talk about what a credit record is. Okay, so debt is like high school. There are no secrets. So every time you take out any kind of debt, the company who's giving you the debt is required by law to report back on all of your payments. They do this automatically to some central businesses that are called credit bureaus. There's about 3 or 4 of these guys in South Africa, and they all basically have the same database. So basically, anytime you take a loan, as long as it's a legal loan, as long as it's not like a loan shark or something, any time you take that loan, the amount of that loan and how you've repaid it, it's all in a central database. And when a company is deciding whether or not to give you new credits, or when a business is deciding whether or not to hire you, they also do this. And also when a landlord is deciding whether or not to rent to you, they also do this. They do something called running a credit check, which is they send a query to the credit bureaus and they say, tell me everything about Sam's credit history. And they get a report which says, here are all the loans Sam's ever taken out. This one, this month, she paid back, it was late. This one she paid back, she didn't pay back the full amount. You can literally see it. It's all like, it's very visual as well. Be like, 10 years ago she did this and she didn't pay it, defaulted there, there've been these judgments, all of that. It's all in a report, okay? Sounds scary, eh? So, every South African by law is allowed once a year to go and pull a credit report on yourself for free. And it's very important that you do this because I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of people who've gone and checked their credit report and they found fraud. So you go and you check, you're like, I've never taken out that account. So it's really important that you check. If you find an error, you can go and request that the credit bureau fixes the error, right? Very sadly, like actually oftentimes these stories are about people's family members and that can be very, very traumatic and difficult to deal with, right? But it is very important that you check your credit report. Now, your credit report is just like a history and summary of all of the different debts that you've had and kind of how you've worked them. All the credit bureaus also summarize all of that into a single number called a credit score. It's a 3-digit number between 0 and 999 or 1 and 999, I guess. And basically, the higher your score, the better. A score below, I would say like 730 is not a good score. Like you should be worrying and trying to get it higher. But you can always reform your credit record, right? So you normally have to pay to get your credit score. It's normally not free, but you can normally figure out most of your score from your credit report. The things that lower your score are paying late, not paying the full amounts, being over indebted. That's when you have too much debts, too many debts. Those are the major things, right? It's just being a bad debtor. All of those things that you think, right? Now, the kinds of things that end up going on a credit report, it's not just loans. It's not just store cards and credit cards. It's also like if you have an account with Vodacom or MTN. If you have an insurance product, those are often also reported, like you have an outsurance thing, right? If you have a telecom line, anything like that, they all end up there in your credit report. Your credit report also often says stuff like where did you live, during what years, and what jobs did you have. That stuff's also in your credit reports. Okay. Now, credit reports are really important for a couple of reasons. If you ever want to take out a really big, good form of debt, like for instance, you want to take a loan to start a business, or you want to take out a loan to buy a house, the most important piece of information is what does your credit report look like. So it is important to build up a credit report. That doesn't mean though that it's always a good idea. Like when I was a teenager, the advice that I got was, as soon as you can, go to Edgar's, go open an Edgar's store card, buy some shits, and then establish a credit record. Now that would have been a great idea for anyone that wasn't me, because what I did is I got an Edgar's card. In fact, no, I got a Mr. Price card. And then I very promptly went and racked up like a few thousand rands worth of like sneaker debts, basically. And then because I'm a moron, I forgot that I had it and I just didn't make any repayments. And then it like a year went by and I completely forgot about it, and then realized I still had all this debt. And then it took me like another year to pay it off because I was also young and broke and dumb. So don't be like me. So it's not always a great idea to start your credit record by getting a store card, unless you can be very disciplined about it, right? If you can be disciplined to go and take a store card, buy like one thing, pay it off, and then cut up your store card, that's a pretty good way to let the credit bureaus know you exist. But actually you can normally, like an easier and better way to establish a credit record is through things that you actually really do need, not things that you're buying just to have a credit record. Like you do actually need a cell phone, you do actually probably need internet in your house, and you do probably also actually need insurance. So those things are being reported on your credit record, they are helping you build it up. Funnily enough, it doesn't make your credit record look better if you have more debts, it makes it look worse. And now this is actually the most common reason that people's home loans applications are declined, is because they have a huge car debt often. Often, like South Africans, we really love our cars. We spend far too much money on them. Cars are very expensive here, and that's often like people get really stretch themselves to the limit. They stretch their budget to the limit with a car, and then they can't get a home loan. Because actually one of the things that they look at is that affordability thing. So like how much of your budget is free, and then that's actually like a thing. How you repay is only half of the story. So actually don't get into this trap of taking out a lot of debt because you want a good credit record. It's the opposite, right? Actually try and like have as little debt as you can in your life. Only have like essential accounts and pay them off, and be really disciplined about it, because anytime you're late, anytime you skip, it will go on your credit record. But now, I know that things happen, right? Sometimes life is hard, and sometimes these things, you actually can't help it. You can't afford to pay. What should you do then? Okay, the first thing is, if you proactively contact the people, don't just like change your name, change your bank account. You know how many people told me, like, no, I just opened a new bank account because then they couldn't take the debit order. Does not help you, because they will report that to the credit bureau. That doesn't help you. It's high school, there are no secrets, you can't escape. So what you need to do instead is call them. They know, right? So before the credit is due, the debt is due, call them, tell them you can't pay. Normally they will be able to make some kind of arrangement. They'll be able to reduce it, they'll be able to delay it. And then that means that rather than having a big black mark on your credit report that says they just didn't pay, it's okay, there was like a situation. So rather be proactive, even though it's hard, like it's really hard. If things get really bad, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you actually don't know how you're going to get yourself out of this debt spiral, your debts are growing faster than your income, you lose your job, family member gets sick, like life happens. There's like a last ditch resort in South Africa. It's a good option for a lot of people when it's gotten bad, and that's called debt counseling. Now what debt counseling is you go to a debt counseling agency, you say, guys, I'm in trouble, help. They will consolidate your debt, and then rather than paying off 16 different accounts with different places, different things, they'll give you a lower monthly amount and then you just pay them, and they'll stretch it out over a longer period of time. It's very important, if you do this, you're not allowed to take out more debts, and you wouldn't want to. That's what got you into trouble in the first place, right? If it ever gets bad, that is a last ditch option, but you don't want it to be your first option. Your first option is try to not get into debts in the first place. Debt is always going to grow faster than your savings are. The average like store card, the interest rate on it is 21-22%. The best interest rate you can get on most short-term savings is what, like 6%? Now that gap between 22%, 6%, that's why your banker drives a nice car and you don't, right? That's the difference. So being in debt is never going to get you to financial freedom. It's never going to make you rich. So actually my advice is always like, get out of that debt as quickly as you can, and rather like use that money to grow your own wealth, not the bank's, right? So yeah, those are credit records.
I didn't know there was debt counseling.
I
Actually,
to switch on the light.
Yeah, the whole time I was like, I want to turn the lights on.
this